Let's talk science fiction tonight with none other than Mark Zicree. We'll be back with Mark in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Well, let me tell you a little bit about him. Mark Zicree has more than 100 dramatic television credits to his name, including episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, Twilight Zone, and Sliders. Mark has also served on staff of the series, which includes Lazarus Man, Beyond Reality, and Friday the 13th, the series. He's written a number of pilots for television. Additionally, he has been a commentator for years for NPR's Morning Edition, author of the bestseller The Twilight Zone Companion, Magic Time. And here he is, Mark Zicree. Mark, how are you? Good morning.
I'm very good, George. It's so good to talk with you again.
You too, my friend. Keeping busy writing these days, I hear, huh?
Oh, yes. It's a lot of fun here in Tinseltown.
What do you tell people who want to be writers?
You know, it's funny because I mentor a lot of writers and directors and producers and so forth. And the great thing is that now it's much easier to get the attention of the studios and the networks, thanks to the Internet, thanks to a lot of things. It's just so much easier. People can just pick up a camera at the electronics store and get, Final Cut, which is an editing program, put it on their Mac, and they're good to go. They can shoot the equivalent of a network show or a movie and really get some notice.
CBS just cut some programs, including Ghost Whisperer, which was doing very well.
Yes.
I guess they're all assessing where they're going, aren't they?
Yeah, and the networks are, it's so expensive to make a network show right now. For instance, any network drama, the budget's going to be anywhere from $2 to $5 million per episode. That's a lot of money going out the door. But the great thing about television is that when you make a TV series, thanks to DVD and the Internet now, these shows are around pretty much forever. And in fact, there are shows that I wrote for when I was in my early 20s that people still are contacting me about, and they release them on DVD and Blu-ray all the time. So it's sort of eternal.
I'm curious. Over the weekend, did anybody say that they heard you on KFI here in Los Angeles?
They did. They did. It's great fun to know that I'm out there talking even while I'm sleeping. So
we reran you on the network along with Ann Serling.
Wow, how fun!
And that's what's great about radio too. These things live forever, like TV shows.
Yes, exactly. It's really eternal. It's great fun to be part of this wonderful business.
Are you still doing pilots?
Yeah. In fact, I'm working on 3 right now, and it's very fun because again, there's one. You mentioned Ghost Whisperer, and the people who run that show, Ian Sander and Kim Moses, have optioned Magic Time, and that's based on the pilot and then the 3 novels that I did for HarperCollins, and it's a very interesting strategy because we just last night we were shooting a trailer, a little sort of commercial for the project, and then we're going to do it as a web series, build the audience, then go to network television with it. And my friend Armin Shimmerman, who played Quark on Deep Space Nine and the principal on Buffy, I've worked with him on many shows and pilots. He was there with me and David Paulson, who's another actor who's worked with Ray Bradbury, and we were just shooting it. There's a fellow named Trey Stokes who's been directing wonderful things on the Internet, and I brought him aboard. He's very talented, a great special effects guy, and we were just shooting it on a little stage here in L.A. And then I'm writing a new script that I'm going to do what's called a table read, which is where you get actors around a table and you read it out loud and you hear it, and that really helps you refine it. That's a new one called Savage Donut Paradise, which is sort of a callback to the Thin Man, Nick and Nora Charles. It's sort of a 21st century take on that kind of whodunit set on the Sunset Strip at night. So very fun project.
What's the craze with sci-fi shows, Mark? I mean, it's huge. I mean, in mystical comments. You and I, next weekend, we're going to be in Pasadena at an event.
Yeah, the Rockin' Comic-Con at Pasadena, the convention center. It's going to be a great, fun event. And I think your question is really a great one, George, because when you ask about the science fiction and why it's so popular and so long-lasting, it's funny, if you look at something like the original Star Trek, which is still popular, still people love it, and if you compare that with other shows that debuted in 1966, they seem so dusty, these westerns and so forth, Gunsmoke or whatever. But you watch Star Trek and with Starship, Enterprise, and Aliens, it's still really thrilling and really adventurous and seems much more current. And again, if you look at some of the shows that are being greenlit for the fall, there's a new show coming down the pike called Terra Nova that Steven Spielberg is doing, and it's about it takes place in the future when Earth's resources have been depleted, so they're sending people to sort of other parallel Earths, and there's a parallel Earth that has dinosaurs on it, no people but dinosaurs, and they're sending human beings, families there to survive, and it's a very thrilling concept. And so I think that science fiction just kind of excites people's imaginations, and and I think that the what if quality is endlessly intriguing. I think people really do still resonate to the possibility of the future and other realities.
Is it as strong as it was in the past, this love of sci-fi?
Yes, I think so. And I think also that when you really hit a nerve and find a profound truth in science fiction, it lasts. And I'll give you an example of that. Probably the first great science fiction movie ever made was a film called Metropolis that Fritz Lang did in 1927. It came out in 1927, and it was, after its initial showing in Germany, it was truncated, cut severely, and so Americans never even saw the complete version, and they recently found 25 minutes that were thought to be lost, and they've just restored them, and they screened a print of it in L.A. I think it'll eventually be on home video, and it was just phenomenal to see this amazing film with great robot, great futuristic city. It really held up, and last week I also saw my friend Ray Bradbury, and when you talk about Fahrenheit 451 or The Martian Chronicles, these things are every bit as truthful and resonant now as they were when Ray wrote them in 1950.
Or one of my favorite Twilight Zones, I Sing the Body Electric.
Yes. And a great script by Ray, and it was fun when you and I were doing the commentaries on the Twilight Zone Blu-ray, and I ended up doing 52 episodes.
52 of them, Mark?
52 audio commentaries, yeah. And so that's 30 hours of me talking.
That's a lot.
So I think
you had fun doing that, though.
I did, very much. And well, having you and I did a couple of episodes, George, and I got Richard Donner to do some, and Neil Gaiman, who's a very popular science fiction and fantasy writer, many wonderful people. And you watch these episodes and you just see that they really hold up. I mean, just to sit down with Richard Donner, who directed, more recently he did Lethal Weapon and the Superman with Christopher Reeve, but back then he directed Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, and, that's the one with William Shatner on the airplane wing, and just to sit and talk with him, watch the episode with him and talk for a half hour about how that was made was just a revelation. It was just such great fun.
Well, I was telling you this story, and I'll share this. One of my granddaughters for Christmas last year said, "Papa, I want a Twilight Zone movie." And I went, "Well, okay, I'll get you one." And she said, "No, I want the Talkie Tina one." And I said, "What do you want that one for?" And she said, "Because I just want it." So not only did I got her a lot of stuff for Christmas, but I got her the DVD of the Twilight Zone, not the mastered one that you did with Blu-ray, but the old one of Talkie Tina. It was in there with the mix. And I also found a company out here in Los Angeles, and I bought a little Talkie Tina doll. A little ceramic thing, and it talks. You push the button in the back, and it goes, "I'm Talkie Tina. I'm going to get you." Anyways, I gave her that, too, and she looked at it, and it freaked her out when she heard it talk. And my daughter, her mother, said to me, let me just put it in your toy box. And she went, "No, Mommy, it'll crawl out at night." So every time she came home from school, the doll would be on the mantle, and she would get on a chair and turn it around where the back was facing. But when you and I did the interview on your master of the Twilight Zone in that segment, Talkie Tina, you looked at this little doll. You were just amazed by it. I gave it to you.
You did. In fact, it's sitting right here in my office even as we speak, and I was so moved by that present, George. It's great fun. And of course, June Foray, who is the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel, did the voice of Talkie Tina, and I met her a few years ago, and it was great fun to reminisce about the Twilight Zone with her. So so these things really last. They really speak to us, and there's nothing I think creepier than a talking doll.
Oh, I know.
Kill you.
The little girl who was in that Talkie Tina episode, not the doll, but the little girl, she was in another one also, wasn't she?
Little Girl Lost. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
another classic.
Yes, yeah, great episodes, and it was also so amazing with the Blu-ray, because I sat down with some of the writers from the Twilight Zone, like Earl Hamner and George Clayton Johnson, and just again to hear them talk about how they came up with those ideas and really get to the nitty-gritty of it and say, okay, well, and see. I mean, to sit with George Clayton Johnson and do the commentary on Kick the Can or Game of Pool. We did 4 of his great episodes. We did Nothing in the Dark, and Penny for Your Thoughts. and just to hear him talk about how he came up with those, and he and Charles Beaumont and some of the other Twilight Zone writers would just drive around at night and talk about ideas and talk about their lives and just come up with these things, and it was just phenomenal to reminisce.
I know you have a passion for one of these three things because, I do too. I mean, I just love this radio show. Even though I've done television programs and some books, this radio show for me is so important, and I just enjoy it. You do books, TV shows, and films. What is your favorite?
It's funny because I love all of them, and I've done radio too, as you mentioned it before when I was on NPR, and I get a lot of strokes for being on Coast to Coast. I got to tell you, George, it was one time I was having a meeting here in Hollywood, and I was pitching something, and from another office, someone said, "That voice, is that Mark Scott Zickery? I got to meet him." And he came in. It was the head of the company, and he recognized me from hearing me on Coast to Coast.
That's amazing.
But I think of all the media I work in, I love TV the best. I mean, I enjoy doing novels. I enjoy doing movies. But TV, when you're on a show, when you're on, for instance, when I was on Sliders as a writer-producer, you come up with an idea, you write it, like in 1 week you'll outline it, the next week you'll write it, a week later you might be in pre-production, a week after that you might be shooting, and then a few weeks later it airs. And the speed of it and the immediacy and just how direct it is between the idea and the execution. I just love that process.
Will TV get back to more drama or comedy?
Yeah.
You think it will? You don't think it's going to keep going in the reality genre?
No. It's funny. This week they've been having what they call the upfronts in New York, where they announce the fall schedules, and they're doing a lot of dramas, a lot of comedies, scripted television. Because the Jay Leno experiment failed
miserably.
Yeah.
Joe Buck's failed on HBO.
Yeah, and so basically, I think they recognize that people have a hunger for story. They love characters. They love stories. They love. It's just such a durable medium, fiction, and so I think it really does last. And there's some great artists working in television, great writers, great directors, great actors. You can find really good work if you look for it.
Will anthology like The Twilight Zone ever come back?
We know it's a very hard format to get the networks to agree to. You and I know that from our adventures.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And every now and then, what it always takes a visionary, not just creating the show, but on the network side to greenlight it.